He used to whoop his ass, break niggas' jaws, do all of that.
Like, okay, so 50 had the block on lock for a minute?
Yeah, that shit on, man. The whole hood was pumping for 50.
Oh, for real?
The hood.
So everything I dealt with, I treated like it was sport. Now, in football, if you up, if you run a lap for the top one, they put you in the bull ring.
It was like, Suge's outside, Suge's outside. Everybody like, he was running, dropping, like, man, everybody going, I'm in front of the camera like this.
I don't ever want a problem. But when they say they want a problem, I say no problem.
The youngest player in the gangster mafia game, 50 Cent, is making headlines for his recent comments on Suge Knight's release. 50 has been at odds with his seniors from the beginning of his career, but now that Suge has been behind the bars, 50 is ruling the streets in his stead. Well, the news might be a shock to the industry, but 50 is quite chilled in response. Even though many are impatient for the legends to lock jaws, it's quite clear who will win this round. Keep your ears open, guys, because we've got some hot tea to spill. One of the whistleblowers of the entertainment industry, allhiphop.com, has revealed some electrifying information regarding the current inmate. According to D-Dog, Suge Knight has gotten 15 years taken off his sentence, thanks to legendary lawyer David Kenner. Kenner has denied representing Knight in the recent past, but it looks like all is well now. He used to represent Death Row Records while it was in the game as well.
Stuff you niggas don't know. You know what I'm saying? The nigga finna get out. Right? Everybody running their mouth. He just got 10 to 15 years knocked off his sentence.
D-Dog, the close associate of Suge, gave everyone an alarming warning, saying that even though Suge is in jail, he knows who has turned their back on him. He also challenged all the people who badmouth Knight, saying that they should open their mouth when Knight will stand right in front of them.
Ass niggas that's been running your mouth, keep running your mouth. He'll be out soon.
Yeah, but hopefully, but let me say this.
Now, you may not know that even Suge was behind bars. He was not completely cut off from the outside world. He even showed his influence when he gave an interview from inside the cell. Nation of Podcation revealed that Suge Knight ran the company like it was a sport, and he even threatened people with teeny weenies to get out of the business if they can't handle him.
So everything I dealt with, I treated like it was sport. Now, in football,
additionally, he explained that if one makes blunders in this unforgiving industry, there's no going back. If you're not fast enough to retract and overcome the backlash, you are as good as dead. He implied the jungle rule in his business and survived like a king.
If you fuck up, if you run a lap for the top one, they put you in the bull ring. You don't hit them fast enough, they're going to knock you down and fuck over you. So you have to be tough.
The story of 50 Cent and Suge Knight is one that will be remembered and talked about for as long as hip-hop prevails. It's a real-life tale that digs far beyond your typical music industry games and beef. Undoubtedly, Suge Knight has put fear into the bones of many artists, producers, and executives who foolishly questioned his authority. However, there was another up-and-coming celeb at the time who wasn't afraid to face him, and that was none other than 50 Cent. To this day, 50 openly speaks about his famous altercation with Suge that raises goosebumps all over the industry. Well, what happened was that the Terror musician interrupted a 50's music video filming at a bar. As 50 recalls it, everyone was in a frenzy to pull back and pack their belongings, but 50 confronted the terrorist head-on, asking him what the matter was.
It was like, Suge's outside, Suge's outside. Everybody like, it was running, dropping shit, like, man, everybody going, I'm in front of the camera like this.
And interestingly, Suge knew that 50 won't be intimidated that easily, so he came to the bar with 30 armed men, according to one of the artists, Bizarre, who was present at this historical moment.
He looked at Fifth, and Fifth was like, what's up, what's up?
To fans, it's a major disappointment that Suge took up music side by side with his gangster career. Many believe that if Suge wasn't more on the streets than he was in the studio, 50 would have joined him, leaving no room for feuds at all. I always wondered, imagine if Suge had Death Row but didn't really pursue his gangster shit, but focused on business. Imagine how much bigger it could have been if Pac never died and even 50 Cent joined them. But the thing is, the rumor on the street pronounced that Suge's legitimate successor is 50. It can sound outrageous, especially if listened without any context. Well, as opposed to Suge Knight's infamous history of felonies and crimes, 50's history has been clouded by inadequate convergence. Where 50 Cent is seen as an icon across the world, his dark history on the streets is much less mentioned.
That's it. It makes people feel like I want trouble because I don't have a problem with it when it comes.
Even DJ Khaled was scared out of his socks when he interacted with 50 Cent while on tour. DJ kept his head down when 50 was in the room. Well, coming back to what we were talking about before, 50 Cent was actually a very successful drug dealer because he was raised by drug dealer parents. Most people don't know that. 50 even claimed in his memoir that he was successful in his music conquest because of his gangster days. New York Post reports that rapper 50 Cent says he learned everything he needed to know to make it in the music business selling crack on the streets of Queens. In From Pieces to Weight, Once Upon a Time in Southside Queens, his Drugs to Riches memoir, which hits bookstores next week, 50 describes his journey from pusher to pop star and all the run-ins with the police and rivalries in between. To add to that, 50 was terrified of his drug dealer mother who taught him to resort to violence even for mundane things. At age 5, when he was beaten up by another kindergartner and came home crying, she told him, "Next time, you pick something up and hit him if you have to, but you're not going to come back here crying." 50 explained that the school was doing nothing for him because his reality was really different from the reality of other normal children. "Nothing I was being told in school made sense to my reality," he writes. "I could break down a kilogram of cocaine into ounces, grams, or any combination of the two. That's how I learned my fractions and metric conversion, through real-life applications." 50 revealed that he was subjected to the things he speaks about in his music. The element of danger the rappers flaunt about in their albums, 50 had lived a life of it.
I missed some of my run. You can't have that forever because I brought an element to it that was representation of the dangerous element in the inner cities, the environment, the things that go on. And it's because I was subjected to those things.
Aside from all that, 50 has reigned the streets in Suge's stead for longer than he himself has. And it looks like Suge is planting his return to take back what he claims was rightfully his. It's quite cliche for a king to come back and reclaim his throne, isn't it? Well, let's not forget that aside from his throne, there's another reason for him to come back and wreak havoc. The Death Row Records. Yes, you heard that right. The reason behind Suge's tight hold on the street was because of his record label, but unfortunately after his cantonment, the record label went to Snoop Dogg's. The Californian hip-hop star shot to fame following the Death Row release of his 1993 hit debut album, Doggy Style. It featured hit singles such as Gin and Juice, Doggy Dog World, and Murder Was the Case. Snoop Dogg said the move was an extremely meaningful moment for me, and he was looking forward to building the next chapter of the record label. "I'm thrilled and appreciative of the opportunity to acquire the iconic and culturally significant Death Row Records brand, which has immense untapped future value. It feels good to have ownership of the label I was part of at the beginning of my career and as one of the founding members." On top of owning the company, Snoop Dogg also changed the way the music was produced. Now, we all know that Suge is not someone who takes lightly to being dismissed. Snoop struck another nerve when he boasted about the change on mainstream media. Speaking on the latest episode of Drink Champs with co-hosts DJ Effin and Noor, Snoop discussed his decision to remove the Death Row catalog from digital streaming platforms. Snoop said, "First thing I did was snatch all the music off those platforms traditionally known to people because those platforms don't pay. And those platforms get millions and millions of streams, and nobody gets paid other than the record labels. So what I wanted to do is snatch my music off, create a platform similar to Amazon, Netflix, Hulu. It'll be a Death Row app, and the music in the meantime will live in the metaverse." He even made a joke out of his purchasing the record company.
It's like, let me get you on the phone with him. "Yeah, what's that? And we got Death Row. We don't know what the fuck to do with it." "I do." "How much it costs?" "Boop, boop. How much my masters cost?" "God damn."
Now, it would be rather more suspicious if Suge didn't get offended at Snoop for his offhanded commentary on purchasing his record label that was built by Suge with his own sweat and blood, including his competition with 50 Cent. It's no wonder the industry trembles in terror at the mafia boss's return. We all know that 50 is not somebody who avoids altercation. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.